Hello and welcome to episode number 110 of Week in Review. My name is Sean, and on this week's show we have two different kinds of Kit Kats to try. We have a review for The Invisible Man, and we're going to put that right between those two. So it'll be like a sweet sandwich on the outside with two sweet treats, and then a bunch of horror right in the middle. A big scary middle cream for your Kit Kat cookie. We'll also look forward to this week's new releases, and I'll tell you about the streams happening over on twitch.tv/ShaunosaurusRex. Let's begin the show with something sweet, and it's actually an item that I've been trying to get on the show for several weeks, but I got very sick, and for whatever reason, when I get sick, I have a hard time tasting things correctly, so I had to put this one on the back burner. It is amazing what happens when like an illness hits me. Like I just get stopped in my tracks, and I had all these plans and ideas that I wanted to do, where I was like, I think I had like a literal 2 months of Week in Review written out, that I was like, okay, on this week I want to do this movie and all that stuff figured out, and all of my plans got wrecked because I was just like, I was stuck here for like 4 days and wasn't able to go do anything. So I've been sitting on these for a little bit, and unfortunately you're not going to be able to go get them at the store because I meant to review them earlier in February when you would have had a shot. So I do apologize. So hopefully they're not that good. Hopefully I take a bite and I'm like, ugh, these are gross. You didn't miss anything. But we have Valentine's that have been broken into here. Valentine's Kit Kat Raspberry Cream. And these are crisp wafers and raspberry flavored white cream. So we'll give these a try. Here's what I like about this. I like that the Kit Kats themselves are very small. This is great for a show like this, where I eat like half of a Twix cookies and cream bar, and then I just set it to the side and I go, I didn't really like that, so garbage? Anyway, we'll crack it open here. We have this little miniature here. Has a very nice pink hue to it. There you go. Look at that. We'll take a smell. Oh, it's very raspberry. It's very raspberry. All right. I guess just eat the whole thing, huh? Okay. Okay. It's not terrible. It's not great. It feels like it's just kind of in the middle of like, eh. The thing is, it smells a lot like raspberry, right? But there's too much of the white chocolate in there, and it really mutes the raspberry taste. Like it kicks in every once in a while, and it seems like it was switching back and forth. But like, I want raspberry. I want you to punch me in the mouth with some raspberry. You know what I mean? Like, I kind of wish this was just like their regular milk chocolate with a big heaping helping of raspberry in it, because I feel like that would work a lot better. Because I think berries and like a milk chocolate, or even a berries and like a dark chocolate, work better than berries and white chocolate. I'm not a super big fan of white chocolate. I don't know. They're okay. Like, I want more raspberry, you know? Give me more raspberry. And fortunately, I only had to eat the one to really come up with that opinion. I didn't have like a second one that was melting in my hand. That was pretty cool. That's nice. Thanks, Kit Kat, for putting these out and making them so bite-sized and miniature. I really appreciate that. I guess it's kind of a good thing that you can't go run out and buy these, so you're not really missing out. Maybe keep an eye out, see if they bring them back next year. I think the Valentine's Day stuff can be kind of interesting sometimes. This was definitely one that I wanted to like more than I did, but you know, it is what it is. It's a kind of raspberry flavored, more white chocolate cream flavored Kit Kat. Should be better though. Punch me. Give me more raspberry. We'll get back to our other sweet treat right after this review of The Invisible Man. The Invisible Man is a movie that I was not anticipating to like nearly as much as I did. It's one of the best movies I've seen this year, and why I wasn't expecting a ton of it was because for the number of times I saw the trailer for it, it always seemed like it was just going to be a straight horror movie, and fortunately it dives more on the side of psychological horror, and that definitely worked well for me. After a very intense escape sequence, we get a very slow burn build up as they explore these characters and their relationships. We understand why Elizabeth Moss's character Cece is the way she is. She has her support system with James and Sydney, two characters that I really grew fond for. I was like, man, I really like them. I like the way that they are so supportive of her, that they are doing their best to understand the situation that Cece is in, that they're working with her, they're cheering on when she reaches goals and does stuff that is big. And I really liked their connection. They're playful and goofy with each other. There are like genuine laughs early in the movie after the escape sequence where they're like joking around about like a ladder and stuff like that. That's really fun and endearing. But what it does is it sets the high to be really high, because it does that classic like horror trope of like everything's going well, and then when shit hits the fan, it's supposed to be like just this huge like drop, right? And this movie does a tremendous job of setting those stakes really high. We understand people's goals and aspirations and what they want to do, and the higher that stuff gets, the harder that fall is. And as the movie proceeds, there are times where characters are in danger or like a threat is made, and I'm like, don't you dare, don't, no, this is, please just leave this person alone, because I really like them and I want them to make it through this whole movie. I also really love that Cece knew something was off. Like when the information, a certain piece of information is delivered to her, technically it's in the trailer, but in case you haven't seen the trailer, I won't spoil it here. When a certain piece of information is given early in the film, she knows something's off. Like there's something, she can't necessarily put her finger on exactly what it is, but she knows that it's just not lining up for her. And as the movie progresses, we find out why she thinks things are off. The sound design in this movie is absolutely incredible. I saw it in Dolby and it was a really awesome experience. The sound design does an incredible job of making very small sounds, like laptops closing, like a door opening, sounds that would normally be very like innocuous and just kind of like, oh, that's just a thing that happens, all of a sudden are louder and are somewhat startling and are that example of how Cece is feeling in these moments where like this stuff is spooking her, because she is very tense, because she, you know, has anxiety about the situation, and like rightfully so and understandably so, so that when we're sitting there in the theater and we're like, man, that startled me, I totally get why that startled me. There's also a very small sound that plays throughout the movie that starts as kind of like, oh, this is just not something that I really should worry about, but as things progress, you go like, oh, like it clicks and you go, I understand what it is. And now all of a sudden, times you heard this little cue earlier all of a sudden mean something more, and it's fascinating. I love the sound design of this movie, and I recommend that if you see it, go see it in the Dolby while you can. I don't think it'll be there for very long, but if you have the opportunity, see it in the loudest theater you can. There are sequences of this movie that are just so searingly intense, and as the movie progresses, it really works with that psychological slow burn horror aspect, where it's not so much about like a dude who's just running around being invisible and like slashing people. It's about like this very particular type of person who is just trying to rip someone's life apart from the inside out, severing her connections with friends and loved ones, and setting up scenarios and situations where it's really hard to argue that this didn't happen because like X came from this thing, and there's not much of an explanation on how to get out of that. And I really loved that idea. And though the movie is in the horror genre and it does have like jump scares and moments, like there's a point where someone kicks a dog bowl and I like jumped out of my seat and I was like, oh my goodness, like I did not expect that. It's just the way the shot is framed. The cinematography in this movie is really great. There are times where the shot, just the way the shot moves is like so unnerving and creepy, because you know that something's not quite right, but you yourself can't necessarily put your finger on it, but you're also not sure if there is something wrong, or if you're just nervous because you can't see a character who was on screen, and then as it shifts, like they're off screen, you're like, nope, don't, why is this holding like this? Why is this doing this? Please just, okay, there she is. Cece's okay. She's all right. Whew. Oh, and I'm sure there are also a couple of shots in there where you are the actual like titular character as they like kind of work down a hallway, and you're like, this is so creepy and weird. Oh God. But even though it does, it is a horror movie, there's not a ton of gore in it. And I think that's actually very interesting. Number one, it makes the filmmakers and the writers and everybody focus on developing characters that we care about to make the situations scary. Instead of it just being like a random killer on the loose, we're working with someone who's much more maniacal. Which leads into point number two, which is forcing the villain in this movie to actually be scary in a way that, like I said, isn't just like a cold and killer like sort of thing. Like, there has to be more to it that makes it more unnerving for when like basic sort of situations happen. You're like, God, I can really see myself in this situation and I hate it. Like, I don't like that at all. But number three, the lack of gore actually means that the gore that is there is more effective and more surprising / shocking because we're not used to it. There are only 5 scenes, maybe, I think actually 4, that feature any sort of like large amounts of blood. And it's a thing that when it happens, you're like, oh God, like what? Oh, wow, we're really working with this. And then it goes through like a fairly like clean, quote unquote, clean phase of the movie. And then like something else pops up and you go like, so much of the tension is just created from the scenario that they're working with, from the characters that they've developed, and like making that matter in a way that is effective and understandable and relates well to what's going on like out in the world at large. Not to say that it's a perfect movie. I do have 2 minor problems with it. Some of the effects aren't super great. They just look kind of weird and wonky, especially towards the later parts. But the actors do a really good job of selling that they are fighting something or struggling against something that you can't see on screen. And it's well done for the most part. There's just a couple of times where it's like, oh, that doesn't look super great. The other thing about this movie that I wasn't super huge on was actually the ending itself. And I really struggled with this because I can't quite put my finger on exactly why I don't like it. Every time I thought I had it figured out, like, I don't like it for this reason, I don't like it for this reason, I would think about the movie and the flow of the movie and how it worked, and I go, well, they explain it here, so I guess that makes sense. They explain this, so that doesn't really work as far as like my thought process. Like, it's weird that I would have a problem with this but not have a problem with this. Like, it connects very well, but I think it's something to do with where they leave the characters specifically, where I was like, this feels off. And it's almost like that like weird thing of like, it's off, but I just can't put my finger on it. It doesn't do anything to like disrupt the rest of the movie. I think it is like 98% of like an absolutely fantastic movie, and just one decision at the end that I'm not super convinced of and that I don't really like. It's just, it's weird because I don't know how you fix, quote unquote, the ending. Like, I don't know how you shift it around to put it in a position where I would look at it and be like, that's a great ending. I don't know. It's really weird. We get that sometimes on this show where I sit here and I'm like, I had this problem, but fuck all. I don't know what to do with it. But like I said, they are 2 very minor things, and it doesn't disrupt the flow of an otherwise absolutely fantastic movie. I am so pleasantly surprised with how much I liked it, and I would recommend that if you are interested in it, even if you watch the trailer and you're like, I don't know if I really like horror movies, maybe give this one a shot, because I think it leans in a very positive direction towards more of like a psychological aspect. And I think that is really interesting. The performances are great. The characters are good. It's a movie that I sat and was very thoroughly engrossed in, and like could feel myself kind of like tense and like minorly like shaking my hand as things like ratcheted up. And I'm just like, okay, I need like a Kit Kat or something to eat. Thankfully, I have one of those up next. All right, now that you've learned all about the Invisible Man, and we could probably use a sweet treat to calm ourselves down because that is a very intense movie, I have for you something that you should be able to go get in stores right now, because I think it's more of the spring and Easter variety, like limited edition flavor. I don't actually, did the raspberry cream, that didn't actually say anything specifically about being limited edition, but it was definitely a new item, and I think that is going to qualify for our next item, which I have grabbed too soon before I finished my intro. But we have Lemon Crisp Kit Kat miniatures, and again, it doesn't say anything about like being a limited edition. They did put this like cute bee thing on the back, which is the least scary bee because it's food. But here we have a lemon crisp. It is crisp wafers in lemon flavored white cream. So we might be running into the same problem that we had with the raspberry of too much white cream, not enough of the flavor. Now this bag hasn't been broken into yet, so I have to open that really quick. And I tore it all the way down this side. Fantastic. Good. At least it didn't go all over the place. However, that would have been pretty good footage. Yet again, we have these sweet little miniatures, which again, super helpful for a show like this because I only have to eat one before I take it to work and put it on a desk and go, hey, someone eat this. No one ever gives away anything good for free, you know? Like when they made that Mountain Dew Ice, somebody bought like a bunch of those and then brought it to work and was like, hey, these are free. And I was like, you must not like this. So we'll give this a try right here. I like the size. Very helpful. Will I do it in one bite again? Probably. Let's see what we have here. Nice yellow. I will say these look good together. The pink and the yellow look very nice together. We have a nice... This one, the white chocolate is really cutting through. More so than the lemon. It's there. There's like a little bit of a hint of it. My words are trying to get out of my mouth. I'm like salivating. I'm like, I want to eat this Kit Kat, but I'm like trying to talk at the same time. It's a bad idea. It's there. It's very white chocolatey though. Hell yeah. I definitely like these a lot more than the raspberry because even though there isn't a ton of lemon scent to it, when you're chewing on it and you're eating it, the lemon really cuts through the white chocolate and it's really good. Like this is great. This is a great Kit Kat. I'm glad that I have a whole bag that I can eat all by myself. I didn't have to tell you that, but I'm going to do it. And now you know that between this episode and the next episode, it is likely that I ate this entire bag of Kit Kat miniatures that I will hold correct up without spilling. These, you can go get them. They're available now. I found these at Target. I found the other ones at Safeway, but they were in the Valentine's Day section, so they're gone. But you can find these up at Target. These were bought for me by someone, so thank you very much for that. I appreciate it. They're great. They're really good. You should go try them. Go pick up a bag. They're good. They're very good. If you like Kit Kat. If you don't like Kit Kat, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know if you're living your best life if you don't like Kit Kat. I'm not going to judge you. Personally, I like Kit Kats a lot. They follow me on Twitter. No big deal. But, if you don't like Kit Kats, this is going to change your mind. But if you like Kit Kats and you like lemon, what do you have to lose? Except for like $3 or however much this cost. I don't know. Go get them. They're good. Finally, on this week's show, we'll talk about this week's new releases. Actually, a pretty busy week, starting with the Blu-ray section. Pixar continues to upgrade and release their older backstock of movies in 4K. And this week it includes 4 of my favorite Pixar movies, Monsters, Inc., Monsters University, Up, and WALL-E. All of those have 4K restorations, and they all have beautiful steel books that are available at Best Buy. In theaters this week, we have Onward and The Way Back, and I also wrote down 3 limited release movies as well to keep your eye on. If you are in maybe a larger city that gets some of the smaller indie stuff, you can go check out The Banker, First Cow, or Extraordinary. Those all looked very interesting to me, and hopefully they will come to my city over the next few weeks. And I'll definitely keep an eye on them if they don't ever make it here and try and pick them up when they come out on Blu-ray. And then on the game side, 2 kind of weirder games. Syrup in the Ultimate Suite is like a visual novel about something having to do with syrup. It had a unique and interesting art style, and it kind of piqued my interest. Also, 60 Seconds is out this week, and it is like kind of a survival game. I'm not really sure. I kind of just read the descriptions, checked out like a trailer, and they looked interesting, but I'm not going to be playing those games over on twitch.tv/JonosaurusRex. In fact, I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to be playing because Wednesday, Grab Bag returns with episodes number 11 and 12. We'll also continue March Mascot Madness on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. That'll round out the first round. There'll probably be some extra stuff in there somewhere, like some Bus Simulator, maybe some Mario Golf. We'll see what happens. And we'll wrap everything back up on Monday with Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars. Thank you so much for watching this week's episode of Week in Review. If you like the content, you can scroll on down and hit that subscribe button. Then you can ring that bell so you get notified when I post new videos. If you like the content enough or you just want to share your opinion with me, you can scroll down a little bit more. You can let me know what you thought of the lemon Kit Kats, the raspberry cream Kit Kats. You can tell me what you thought of the Invisible Man. You can also let me know if there's something you're looking forward to that I'm missing that you think I might be interested in. Leave it down there. I'll check it out. Be sure to head on over to twitch.tv/OnosaurusRex on Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday for streams over there. And then check back every Tuesday right here for more Week in Review. We'll see you next week.